All right, welcome back, traders, to the Expert Trader podcast hosted by Chart Addicts. We have a very special guest today. Raul Gonzales is in the house, aka Lambo Raul. Raul, you want to introduce yourself to the traders at home that may not know about you?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Raul. I'm 21 years old. I roughly started trading when I was around 17, 18. So I've been in the industry for about 5 years now. Um, yeah, that's a quick little brief introduction. I'm typically more of a day trader, sometimes a swing trade, but my overall focus is on day trading and focusing on just 2 to 3 pairs. That's kind of a
Okay.
little brief intro.
Now, you're also the CEO of Day Trading Lab. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm the CEO
Okay.
of the Day Trading Lab.
So can you explain to us a little bit about what that is and what your vision is for Day Trading Lab?
So basically what the day trading lab is essentially an online course for people who are interested in day trading that goes over all of the basics and core principles of how to actually trade. So, you have all the beginner information of the Forex market itself. And then it kind of more transitions over into learning about price action, how to actually read price action, because I wanted to do something where people would actually benefit off of the course, even if they already have, their own trading methodology and they have, their own risk management system. I wanted to set it up where they can at least, benefit on how to read price a little bit better. Then it transitions into, money management, and then it transitions into my personal methodology. And then the course transitions from there into actually becoming a funded trader.
That's good. That's like a step-by-step, sort of how to
Yeah,
crawl, how to walk, how to run kind of situation.
basically,
All right,
basically.
good deal. How did you start that company, and what was your mindset behind starting that company?
So how I started the company and why I started the company, pretty much what I did was make a whole entire curriculum of what I felt people needed to learn about the market and learn how to actually properly trade. Why I started it was because in the beginning, I'd teach people here and there for free, what I knew about the market. But then I felt as if, my time was getting wasted a bunch of times. People would ask me, hey, can you teach me this, blah, 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 blah. I would sit there, do all that, and then they wouldn't even be trading, like 3 weeks later. So I actually started, charging to actually learn from me in my online program.
Raul, could you tell the traders at home how old you are?
I am 21.
All right.
21, yeah.
Just want to let you guys know that this is an age-neutral market,
Yep.
so it does not care about your age. It'll either take your money
Nope.
or give you money.
Yep.
All right. So, a lot of people that see you on social media, and the thing that kind of struck me about your social media page is it kind of looks like one of those scam pages.
Yeah.
You know
Yep.
which one I'm talking
100%.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. The thing is with my social media, I know it looks exactly what it looks like. That's why I always try and prove all my trades are actually on a live account and on
Cool.
a funded account, right? That's why whenever I post a trade, I show, hey, this is a funded account, or hey, this is my personal live account, right? The thing about my social media is I never really started my social media to start it like as a business. My social media is typically, if you go way back before I started posting trading, right, it was just straight up cars. Why? Because I'm a huge car enthusiast, right? So it's never like I'm trying to leverage my car to try and sell this product. I'm just really
No,
big
sure,
into
sure.
cars. Yeah, and then on top
And
of
that's not.
that,
And by the way, that's not where I was going with that at all.
yeah,
I have a lot of respect, and that's kind of why I wanted to get you on. If your page looks like a scam, trust me, that's a compliment
yeah,
because I know you're
for sure.
legit, and so it really works.
Yeah, and the thing about it is people are like, oh, it's just a big marketing page. It's really not. Like, it's just my life. I don't do things for marketing. That's what I post my page is really the life that I live. Going jet skiing every other day. That's part of my life. When I'm done training, I'll go out on my jet skis or choose one of my 3 cars, which one I want to take out. It's just it is what it is. It's just my life. It's not like I'm trying to do anything to try and leverage and promote that product. Um,
No, I
but
hear
yeah,
that.
I try and verify everything as best as possible when it comes to my trading. So I always do show all my trades are on a live account and that it is real account, that it is real money.
Oh, that's really good. We admire the transparency.
Yeah,
Now, what were you doing before the trading? So you were a car enthusiast. Where did the cars
yeah.
come from?
So before I did anything, right, the only car I had was a GTR at the time, right? I had nothing else. Right before trading, what I was doing for personal income was pretty much just flipping a bunch of YouTube channels and just trying selling. So initially, there were gaming channels, right? I would also do video editing for those gaming channels as well. So I would just kind of flip them, make a little profit here and there, and obviously, just save that money along with the actual video editing for other people. So people would actually pay me to edit their gaming videos. But the only car, like I said, I had at the time was the GTR, which was actually a gift from my dad. Now, the reason he gave me that car was because it was kind of like a dream of mine, and he felt bad because I was going through a whole Crohn's disease epidemic earlier on in my life. Started around when I was 14, 15. And then eventually, I was able to take payments on the car, and then I bought another one, and then obviously I ended up buying another one after that.
Yep. All right, dude. That's a really good story. I want to go back and touch on the car thing after. I know we have
Yeah,
a lot
sure.
of knowledge and a lot of value to give in between then, but
Yeah,
I definitely want to circle back on some of that interesting stuff.
yeah, for sure.
So you talked a lot about funding accounts and not funded accounts.
Yeah,
So one thing that a lot of traders might not know is about the funding world. Could
yeah.
you explain a little bit about Forex trading funding, the process, and how that works?
Yeah, so there's a lot of prop firms out there that actually do offer funding. In my opinion, the best one is FTMO. That is the prop firm that I'm specifically funded with. Now, I do have my own personal accounts and I do have my funded accounts. Now, the reason why I promote funding is one of the major reasons I see why a lot of traders fail is because they're undercapitalized. Now, what happens when, let's say, you have a trader that has maybe $1,000 you want to deposit, right? What I would do in that step, if I were to restart everything, I would start building a track record for myself to prove that I'm a consistently profitable trader, right? Now, making 10% of $1,000 isn't much. You're only talking about $100 profit, but when you increase the overall capital that you have in your account, 10% of 100 grand is $10,000. So if you could just keep the same money management system, right? Let's say you can consistently make anywhere between 10 to 30% per month. Now, when you actually apply for FTMO, right, the initial cost is going to cost you $610 up front. But that is a refundable fee with your first withdrawal, which I am actually going to make a YouTube video. I just received another withdrawal from FTMO, which I'm actually going to post on my YouTube, right? So let's say instead of you depositing $1,000, over leveraging it and blowing it consistently back to back, focus on a proper risk management system where you're only risking about 1 to 2% per trade. And if you could prove to yourself, hey, over the last 2 to 3 months I've made 10 to 30% on this account, let me apply for this FTMO challenge, go through the challenge and verification process, and that 10 to 20%, instead of it being 10 to 20% on a $1,000 account, it's now on a $100,000 account. But the thing that people have to be cautious about is, when you do that jump, you're going to end up resetting your psychology anyways, because the figures are, way bigger than what you're used to. So, for everybody is different. For me, it was, pretty easy, to start managing, 6 figures of capital. I didn't really find too much of an issue. I just tended to try and focus on the percentage based risk and the percentage based gain as best as possible. And that's what people should do off the bat. You know what I mean? Going back to, the scams and the marketers out there, they're telling people, risk all this type of money, but yet, you know, they're not going to find that consistent profitability or the longevity they want to within the market, risking large amounts of capital because of drawdown. Every single strategy, doesn't matter who you are, you're going to go into a losing streak. And if your risk overweighs your profit, right, then you're not going to be making any money in the long term, and you're just going to keep blowing and blowing and blowing accounts. So what I like to do is tell people, hey, focus on your little capital, just focus on risking 1 to 2%. If you're profitable within a span of at least 2 to 3 months, then I would go over into a funded account, which, going back to FTMO, they do offer, capital, between $10,000 to $100,000. And you can actually do the challenge verification process 3 times and combine those accounts. So let's say you're good at making 10% on $1,000, right? Now, let's say you did the challenge verification, you got it, you got the funded account. Now you're making 10% on 100,000. You can do the same thing. We can add another 100,000 to your balance, which now you're making 10% of 20,000, or 200,000, which is a $20,000 profit, and the same thing for the $300,000 mark.
How many of there's a lot of questions I have between what you
Yeah,
just said, but how many of those accounts can you consolidate on top of each other?
three. You can do
Three max?
maximum of three. Yeah, so you can manage a maximum of $300,000 worth of capital, and
And
you keep 70% of the profit.
sheesh. Well, you read my
It's
mind.
Yes, huge, right? But again, you have to be really disciplined. Why? Because your maximum loss is 5% of the account balance, or your maximum daily loss is 5% of the account balance, and your maximum loss is an overall 10%. One thing I like about this company versus every other company, they have like a trailing maximum daily or maximum loss, if that's what you want to call it. On FTMO, let's say your initial deposit was 100 grand, right? You have to bring the account down to 90,000 to pretty much get kicked out of their funded program or their funded trader program. So let's say you bring the account up to 200,000, you still have to bring the account all the way down to 90,000 to get kicked out. It's not like other programs where it's 10% of the entire account balance that goes up with it.
All right, sure. So let's talk to the trader at home that maybe has never dealt with that kind of capital and is thinking about taking the leap to get funded. What advice would you give to them before they start getting funded? How long should they trade before they get funded? Should they practice on demo with the larger amounts to get used
Yep.
to the larger drawdowns? What advice would you give to somebody before they get funded?
My bad, let me mute the phone. Before you get funded, something I would probably do is open up a demo account with the amount you're looking to get funded. Practice on that for a month at least, because you still have to go through the challenge and verification process, which, it'll take, a minimum of 10 days, but a maximum of 30 days. So, you're looking at possibly a, you know, 10 to 90 day trial period, right? So or a 20 to 90-day trial period for you to actually receive the funded account. So might as well open up a demo account with a similar balance, right, and trade on that and see how emotional you are. But at the same time, it's fake money when you're in a demo account, so the results might not actually reflect onto your trial and verification, because again, with fake money, you're removing the biggest aspect of trading, which is emotion.
Oh,
So
for sure.
yeah, so that's definitely something I would probably try out. And you probably shouldn't really attempt to actually do a funded account yet until you're confident with your system, you're confident with managing your emotions, and then obviously, you can actually profit in the long run.
Sure. A lot of things that, or one of the things that traders struggle with is sort of self confidence. They
Yeah.
kind of feel like, oh, I'm never ready. I'm not going to be ready to take on 25K. I'm not going to be ready. What signs would you tell a trader to look for in order to tell themselves that they're ready? Like what would a trader need to consistently see in the
Manage more
trading
capital.
ability to know?
I guess it really, again, it goes back to looking at the percentage based gain. If you can make a certain percent within a certain amount of time, right, then, or consistently back to back, then you're pretty much ready to go to the next step. And looking at your drawdown, looking at your average profits, also a big thing, because if you're used to, right, let's say you have a trading strategy, right, and you're used to like a maximum of it, like 10% drawdown, or let's just say an 8% drawdown. If you surpass that by a lot and you're just breaking a lot of your rules for your trading plan, then you're not ready, obviously, right? But if you see that you're following your rules, your maximum drawdown isn't normally being surpassed, things like that, then you're probably ready to move on to the next step and start managing a little bit more capital. Because when it comes to like people asking me, oh, how much money do I really need to quit my job? Well, you're not going to do that with a $1,000 account. It's just not going to happen. The people that tell you that are the people, that are selling you bullshit, right? They're selling you scams,
Sure.
right? I'm here to tell you, or I'm here to tell people what it really is, right? You want to make six figures a year? Okay, you're going to need a lot of money in your account to make six figures a year, right? You want to make 10,000 per month? Then, think about it this way. If you can make 10% on average, then you're going to need 100 grand to do that. Right now, it's not saying you can't turn small amounts of capital into larger amounts of capital, but if you want to make a lot of money trading, you're gonna need a lot of money.
Okay. Now, did you know a lot of people that used FTMO before you did? Is that kind of how you got introduced to it, or was it just by a whim you came
I
across it?
I did not. One of my students actually mentioned it to me, and then I did it myself, tested it out, made sure that I got my withdrawals, and then that's when I started promoting it. And I could just guess it's been spreading like a wildfire recently.
Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit about the withdrawal process working with FTMO specifically as a prop firm? How good is their customer service, and what's the wait time between when you can expect to get funded after you do the challenge, and if you do take a withdrawal, how long does that take to hit? Things like
Yeah,
that. I know you're doing a YouTube video, but just give us a
yeah,
taste.
yeah. So pretty much after you pass the verification process, right, it'll take around 7 days for your funded account to be prepared, right? So the way it works is that they link a demo account to a funded account for reasons of slippage and everything else. Then the actual demo account is copied. It's like a copy trader onto the funded account itself. So you never have access to the real live account, right? Which is quite weird. They go more in depth on that in their actual program. But after you pass verification, they make you sign a contract. They make you submit like proof of address. They make you submit an ID. Then after that, when it comes to your first withdrawal, the day you start trading your funded account, let's say you start on the 5th, right? You're going to receive your profit split exactly on the next month on the 5th, right? So you have to wait a minimum of 30 days and you get a withdraw or a profit split email every 30 days. So on the profit split, basically what it is you're sending the company an invoice of your profit split, right? Already deducted their 30%. So right now they only have two withdrawal options, which is Skrill and wire transfer. Before they had PayPal and a couple other withdrawal options, but I did a wire transfer. Mine took a little bit longer this time around because I forgot to submit my routing number, and I was moving into my new penthouse and everything else. So I wasn't really checking my email. So typically, your profit split comes the next day, right? So this time it took me about a week. I gave him his name is Autocar, I believe is what it is. He's the CEO, right? I gave him my routing number yesterday, and I got my withdrawal today. So
Good
it
stuff.
was a really quick process. Yeah.
By the way, congrats on the move to the new penthouse.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Seriously, big steps.
Appreciate it.
Um, so those were honestly you're answering like 4 questions in one. So I'm finding it hard to keep up with this. But
It's all
let's
good.
talk a little bit more about you and trading as
Yeah.
opposed to just funding in general. Walk me through your daily, weekly, or your weekly routine for trading, and what you're doing on the weekends to prepare, how you
Yeah.
do your, which sessions are you trading, and how are you trading those sessions?
So pretty much if we were to break my routine down, let's start off on Sunday. I don't take trades on Sunday unless it's the London session, but typically I'm not going to stay up late at night for the London session because I'm going to want to trade the New York session. And if I feel like, if you trade Sundays, you're just going to end up shooting yourself in the foot anyways. So what I do Sundays typically is market open. I'll get on the charts and start doing my homework, what I like to call it, for the week ahead, trying to prepare, trying to see what moves could possibly happen the New York session. Right. So then it comes to Monday morning. I wake up typically around 7 a.m. Right. That's when I'll wake up. 7:30. I start looking at the market. I start doing my pre-market analysis. So I like to go through a process where I'm kind of identifying what the market does. Then the next thing is I'm going to determine what the market may do next according to the current conditions. I ask myself, is the market trending? Is the market consolidating? What type of trend are we in? What does the structure look like? When it comes to market structure, to me, that's the biggest thing because that's going to determine what strategy I'm going to use that day. Am I going to use a pullback strategy? Am I going to use a break and retest strategy? Am I going to have to use a consolidation strategy? But typically, I like to stay away from consolidations. From what I've looked at in my journal nowadays, I'm really only trading pullbacks and break and retest setups. So that should tell you that my trading style is typically working the best when the market is in a trending condition, right? So after I've identified what price may do next, then I pretty much set up the trade. I look for the levels I may want to enter at. And since I am day trading, I do take, anywhere between 1 to 3 trades per day. Sometimes I find myself scalping a little more often nowadays. When I am scalping, I may take a loss the first trade. That's something I've always found with my specific trading strategy or my specific trading methodology, right? Is I'll take my very first position is typically a loss, but then my second and third position will cover that loss and make me way more. So I'm trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong at this point in time? Um, that's causing me this loss. Is it anything just with the strategy, or is it just me making mistakes that I'm breaking my rules or not waiting for an entry signal? um I do that. So then after all that's done, it's as simple as kind of just waiting for the trade. If I'm trading the S&P 500 and I'm trading the Dow Jones index, right, I'll always wait for 9:30. At 9:30 when the NYSE opens up, that's typically when we're going to see price move in our favor, because if you're trading the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, there's no reason for you to trade that pair during the Asian session. There's no reason for you to trade that pair during the London session. It's going to move typically the most during the New York session when the stock market opens up, right? So again, this is all coming from back testing. It's all coming from reading my own personal journal. Every single loss that I've taken that was a stupid loss on those pairs happened before the New York session. And then the New York session would open up and price would push. Um, Obviously, price would go in my favor, what I was looking for initially, right? So these are all things that you'd want to keep in your journal. These are all things you'd always want to track how you can improve. I eliminated that mistake, and I'd only trade the New York session, and my trading improved on those two pairs significantly since then, right? So, after my pre-market analysis, active trading till about 1 p.m. is typically when I'm done trading, when the market starts to slow down. And then around 5 p.m. again is typically when I'll go back into the journal, see what I did for the day. If I did well, if I did poor, how my performance was. Then around 6 p.m. I'll do my pre-market analysis, looking forward to what might happen the next day and kind of prepare myself. So kind of build somewhat of a bias of what I'm going to be looking for tomorrow. So let's say Monday I went long, Tuesday, or Monday night comes. Am I still going to go long or am I looking to go short? Did the trend change? Because from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. that's 6 hours of movement, and on an intraday basis, that's six candlesticks that could have happened a lot, especially during the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. There's been moves on the S&P 500 where you see a 300 pip bull run followed by a 600 pip bear run,
Yep.
right? So these are all things I'd like to look at. What am I going to be doing or preparing for the following day,
Sure.
right? And that's pretty much it when it comes to like my routine. After that,
Then
it's kind of
rinse and repeat
what I want.
after
Yeah,
that.
yeah. After that, it's just kind of do the same thing when it comes to trading, and then in between, do what I want, and then after, do what I want.
Okay. And I want to talk about how much time you spend on the charts.
Mhm.
Actually, we might as well touch on that right now. On average, how much time do you think you spend on the charts a day? Let's split this up between active trade time and then active backtest time. Two different.
So let's say when it comes to active trading time, I'm probably on the charts from 7 a.m. Sometimes earlier, sometimes I'll be up at 6 a.m. Right, depending if I'm anticipating a move to happen a little bit earlier or want to get a different form of an entry. So let's say from 6 a.m. to about 1 p.m. I'm actively trading. So maybe that's 7 hours, I believe. Um, but that doesn't mean after I make an entry, I'm not kind of like away from the computer, because at 8 a.m., I'd probably want to have breakfast. At 1 p.m., I'm going to have lunch. So, I'll be constantly monitoring the trade, if it's on my phone or if it's on my computer. And it depends on the time frame I'm trading too. Again, all this is really varies on the market conditions, whether I'm day trading, whether I'm scalping. If I'm trading a longer term time frame, then I'm going to be, typically after my entry, set stop loss, set take profit. I'm going to typically be away from the computer and I'll check back on it every hour. If I'm scalping, then I'm glued to my screen, just kind of looking at my position, monitoring it, make sure it's still valid. Especially with my lower time frames, such as the 5 minute and 15 minute setups that I do take. And then when it comes to back testing, nowadays I don't find myself back testing too much anymore. It's kind of just rinsing and repeating what I'm currently doing. But before, when it came to back testing, when I was first learning how to trade, right? Because there's back testing when you know how to trade. There's back testing when you started trading. Back testing when I started trading, man, I was locked up in my room probably from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. every single day. The only times I ever left my room was just, to eat. And that's about it. Cut off all distractions. Nowadays, I'll probably backtest something that I want to maybe add to my strategy, like, an exit strategy on a 5 minute time frame. How can I hold this trade for a lot longer? Because typically I'm always going to aim for a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio or 1-to-2. There's people say differently. Risk reward ratio, meaning I'm going to make 2 times my risk. So I'm going to risk, $100 to make $200 per trade. How can I increase that, when it comes to my lower time frames? Well, let's try out maybe a tighter moving average, such as an 8 moving average. So if price, let's say we're buying, if price breaks under my 8 moving average, and that's a signal to exit, right? So it's just doing little tweaks like that here and there that will significantly help improve my own personal trading, may help improve your own personal trading. How can I hold my trades for longer? Because in the past, I would, always close at around a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, and I'd miss out on a, 5-to-1, 6-to-1. So it's like, damn, how can I capitalize on these moves?
So Raul, it's very obvious that the discipline is really what's driving your trading methodology and having
Yeah,
a consistent and obviously journaling.
yeah,
That's kind of like probably the reason for your success and your
yeah.
prolonged success. So a methodology that takes this much back testing, do you journal manually or do you journal using a MyFX book?
I journal manually. I feel like, it helps build discipline when you journal manually. But when it comes to my trading methodology, I feel like it's a lot different than other people's trading strategies, because something that I also have in my course is kind of like trading patterns. The thing about patterns is, depending on the market conditions, the win rates are always going to fluctuate,
Sure.
right? So, I'm more of like a discretionary trader, right? So I don't have, here's like a double top. This is exactly how I'm going to trade it every single time, right? It's a lot more discretionary, I would
Sure.
say. So it's kind of like a hybrid, if that's what you want to call it. So I feel like that's why it took me a lot longer to backtest than it would like a normal individual, where they're building a system, it's black and white, yes or no. But when it comes to me personally, that's probably why it took me longer. I like to trade based off of multiple confluences that align in the same direction. Again, and building that top-down analysis sequence. That's probably something I forgot to mention when it comes to my daily routine. Top-down analysis every single Sunday. Market closed, market open. I'm always doing a top-down analysis. I'm never just on one time frame. I'm looking at multiple different time frames to obviously look at where price is going to go in the long run.
All right. No, that's really good. And it's a lot of respect for you taking the long route. I'm definitely right there with you. I definitely believe that. And you put it the best way using discretionary as the term.
Yep.
Discretionary trading means that you're just taking it by case basis
Yeah,
because
exactly.
market cycles change. And so that's really cool that you're teaching
Yep.
that. Let's talk about journaling techniques. This is one of the last things before we wrap up. Then I have like a quick fire round I want to ask you. But let's talk about some journaling techniques. Let's say there's a trader listening at home and he's like, man, I want to start figuring out if I'm winning or losing. What things should they be writing down, and what are the most important things that they should be logging from their trades? Is it psychology? Is it entry? Is it pip count? Is it percentage? What would be the priority for the journaling?
Definitely, I would start with psychology. Let's put like a little list first. It'd be psychology, right? Then it'd be the money management. Then it'd be the technicals, right? Because again, psychology, 80% of trading is made up all by psychology. Then obviously money management fits in that sequence, right? So I guess I can't. I'm a person where I like to emphasize money management a lot because that's really what took me from being a losing trader to being a winning trader, right? Because I'd have a losing streak of 5, 6, 7 trades, right? And then I'd all be made back by just 2 or 3 trades, right? But if you're over leveraging, that initial maximum drawdown that may be 10 to 20% is not going to be, 40, 50, 60, 70% over leveraging, right? And typically something that, you should be putting in your journal is one, the money management. Why? Because let's say you took a loss, right? And next trade, you were so confident in the trade, you actually added to that position. So instead of, risking less, you actually risked way more than what you should have, right? Just so you can make back that loss plus a little bit more, right? That's something you need to put in your journal. I feel, and obviously look at the outcome of the trade itself. Because let's say now you took that second trade, that trade was a loss, and you lost even more capital than you initially intended on, or that initially should have. Things like things you did bad in your journal. Like, I set my stop loss at this level, but price was coming so close to my stop loss, I moved it down, then price dropped even more, then I moved it down even more. So kind of hope trading and always moving your stop loss. The thing about stop losses is, right, you should never move your stop loss. The only way you're going to move your stop loss is if you're going to move it up, right? In the case of buying,
Yep.
right? So let's say you're going long, you should only move it up, right? As well as actually trailing your stops in profit. Never move your stop loss to actually lose more money. And again, when it comes to money management, right, it's so important for me to kind of emphasize on that, because of the fact that sustainability is the biggest thing, right? You're going to have losing streaks, you're going to have winning streaks. It's all about that sustainability. Will your losing streaks kill your winning streaks? That's something that you should put in your journal. Look at your journal. Out of 10 trades, let's say you won 5 trades, but you lost 5 trades. If those 5 trades killed all the profits of your last couple of trades, then obviously you're not managing your money properly, and you really need to look at that. Because the thing about, and again, this goes back to, online marketers and everything else, right? They'll tell you, oh, use big lots, blah, 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 flip accounts. You can't consistently flip accounts back to back to back. Sure, you can go from 1,000 to 5,000 to maybe even 10,000, but you can't turn that 10,000 to 20, then 30, then 40, then 50, consistently over leveraging, because you're just going to end up blowing your account. The second you see that losing streak, you're like, okay, I'm going to add more. I'm going to add more. I'm going to add more. I'm going to add more.
Yep.
Increasing your lot size, and then initially blowing your deposit. So, again, it's all about sustainability and looking at the longevity if you really want to become successful in this market. And you got to separate yourself from those 90% of gamblers. What are the 90% of gamblers doing? You have to ask yourself, let me do the opposite of what they're doing, right? What
Sure.
are the winners doing? Following a money management system, following their trading plan, doing all those things.
All right. No, really, really well said. And I can definitely attest to that. I've been there. First time I started trading US 30, it was
Yeah.
sometime in 2018. I tried to do that 1,000 to 10,000, took it
Yeah.
up to 7, and then you
Yeah.
just start to double down, and then
Yep.
eventually it was all
Exactly.
gone. So,
Exactly.
Raul, if you had to sum up everything you know about trading into 3 phrases, what would they be? You don't have to be like individual phrases, but 3 core topics where you would think that people should be focused on.
Core topics. Let's see. One is for sure, again, money management. Two is psychology, and you can even, psychology, you could branch off in a bunch of things, emotional balance, discipline, greed, all those things. And then three, I would say it's a marathon, not a sprint, if that's how you want to call it. Because people nowadays are impatient. They want everything to happen now, right? Looking back on when I started, it's kind of like, damn, I never really envisioned myself in this position. Like, I knew I had the goal, right? But I never really thought I would make it this far, this quick. Just focusing on like the core principles, money management, technical analysis is something that's so small in what trading is overcome by. Anybody can learn technical analysis within a span of 6 months to a year, but then they got to go over the real hurdle, which is money management, then psychology, and then always seeking to improve, all those other things. So it's really all like that. Those core principles that'll really help you out. Just focusing on the money management, psychology, and having patience, I would say, are the biggest things.
All right, awesome. Let's get some motivation out to some of these young
Yeah.
traders. Walk us through the decision-making process of buying a Lamborghini, Raul, and walk us through how that is, and kind of what your thought process was when you decided to go grab it.
I didn't really have to be honest. It's even like the question I get today. Oh, how does it feel to move in a penthouse? It just doesn't really, to be honest, like it is what it is. I had the capital, everything was good. Obviously bought it used. I had my dad co-sign me because he has amazing credit, or else I would have been, absolutely destroyed with interest rates and everything else. Just went to the dealership, put $30,000 down on the car, and that was about it. Got my dad to insure the car for me because the car under my insurance would have cost me $2,000. Right. So,
Sheesh.
to me, it just wasn't worth it. So the car was actually insured under his name. I'm a driver, but I'm the actual owner of the car and I have the registration under my name. And I also pay for the remainder of the loan as well. So it really wasn't, it didn't really feel like too crazy, to be honest. It just, I bought a Lambo. It's kind of as simple as that.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Which one is your favorite car?
Oh man, that's so hard.
I know.
The GTR has always been my dream car as a kid. When I was smaller, ever since Fast and Furious came out, drives amazing. Um, Damn, I'm gonna have to say the Huracan is my favorite car because, you know, it's got the looks, the sound, the dual clutch transmission. Um, but it's just such a fun car to drive. The GTR is a lot heavier of a car. It has way more power, so you have to really respect it a lot more. Um, Overall, the Lambo is definitely my favorite car to drive as of right now, for sure.
All right. Now let's go ahead and wrap this off. We have one last question. Is Raul, what are your goals for trading and where do you hope to take this?
Oh man, the goals for trading right now are huge. Eventually I would want my own hedge fund. I've already got investors pouring in, so I'm just trying to find the right deal with the right investor. Um, Again, it obviously comes to managing more capital. I've been managing six figures for quite some time now, couple years. So definitely looking to start managing into that seven-figure range. Then hopefully, when they go into the eight-figure range, that would be awesome. Um, but as of right now, when it comes down to my trading, I'm using the FTMO funded accounts to fund my own personal accounts. So,
Sure.
you know, it's pretty simple. Like let's say this month when it came to my trading withdraw on the FTMO account, it was a little withdrawal, $15,000. I put $5,000 into my main trading account, and then I pocketed 10 obviously to pay for my expenses.
All right, awesome. Raul, really appreciate you for stopping by. Expert traders out there, you guys heard it here first. Exclusive interview with Raul Gonzales, Lambo Raul. You guys can check him out on Instagram. We're going to include all links to where you guys connect with Raul, where you guys can connect with Raul. If you guys are interested, we'll put that in the link in the description. Raul, thank you for stopping by the Expert Trader podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, bro.
Amen.